evening, and thank you all for joining us today. My name is Rashmita, and I'm the event planner for Microsoft Reactor Bengaluru, India. This session will run over the next 90 minutes, including Q&A. I would now like to welcome Vivek, our speaker for today's session. He works at Microsoft as a senior cloud advocate. But before we start the session, I would request you all to read our code of conduct. We are all here to learn together, so please be respectful of other people's views, understanding of differences, being kind and considerate in the way you engage. The chat will be open throughout, and we do encourage you all to participate. With this, I would like to hand over the floor to Vivek to begin. Thank you.
Thanks, Rashmita. Let me add my screen. Cool. Hey, all. Welcome to Azure Happy Hour, and this is the Azure AI series which we are running as part of the Azure Happy Hour. And we started 2 weeks back. The first session was more on understanding the Azure AI concepts and other things, and then we learned about computer vision and custom vision and how to build. How to do the object identification and other things. And today we are going to explore speech to text, text to speech, and natural language processing, building a model, building a bot. And then next week, next session, basically, we're going to spend time on cognitive search. So this is part of the series, and we have already completed two. And today is the week three, where we are. And if you notice, this path leads to getting you certification, and just going through a couple of learn modules which I'm going to share in this particular series, and also the couple of sessions which we are going to do, and couple of demos which I'm going to show. All can be base for you to take up this certification exam. So this is a series link where you can also find the previous sessions link and other things, and also cloud skill challenge link and everything. So do visit that link. um, just for the introduction purpose, that's me. And I'm a technophile. I love new tech to learn new technologies and to share that with the community and DevOps enthusiasts. And I love traveling and hope everything is opening now, and something which I would like to do. And these are my digital coordinates, so do join in whenever you want to have ask questions to me on this specific topic, or anything specifically you want to looking for. So do join in for this. Join me in these digital coordinates and ask me these questions. Okay, what's today's agenda? Today's agenda is to build a clock app. The clock app is basically speech to text and text to speech, and we will build it with an SDK using .NET, and then we're going to spend some time in building a travelers app. This is for us to understand how to build a product for a traveler, so specifically from not just speech to text, but also to translate that into target language which we are looking at. Say it could be from English to Hindi, and maybe Hindi to Gujarati, or whereas various languages support we have as well. So we'll see all of those things, and we will build a bot using the Azure Language Service and Azure Bot Service, and understand how to go about this. And that's pretty much we're going to cover today. It will be more on the code, and more stuff on the other slides. So very less slides. So I have actually created a collection of all of these learn modules, which we are going to discuss in week 1, 2, 3, 4. Everything has been combined into one, and then we have added it into the one cloud skill challenge. So it's easy for you to go to this link and get started with all of these learn modules. There are somewhere around 10 to 16 learn modules there, I think so. So we will see as well. So just spend time and see what are the learn modules which are part of this, and make sure that you execute. We did execute a couple of things in when we did computer vision and custom vision, face api, and various other things which was pretty interesting, which we used in this specific series. So given that, let me go to the this is the challenge. This is the AI series challenge which I was talking about, and that's the link which is there as well in the chat. So here is, you can find a couple of things. So you can just join the challenge, and you will be able to access all the learn modules which is part of this challenge. So that's part of the cloud skill challenge. So let's go and. First thing first, let us understand what is specifically language service and Azure Bot Service, and we will build a bot first, and then we will go into speech. So we all know, right? There is couple of means to connect, communicate. There are a lot of technologies we use: chat service, email, social media platforms, and various platforms. So the need for you to use conversation AI is raising, because the reason is, it's very simple. You are using a service, and for that service you expect them to provide answers pretty fast. And there is a lot of challenges. There are too many questions coming from customers, and there are not enough people in the back end answering those questions. And other challenges here is basically how would you manage the right set of answers for this, right? There might be a question which agent might not know, and he has to go and search, or he or she has to go and search in their database and come back and provide the answers to the customer. So how do you make sure you feed all of these questions and other things and to a system, and build a model on top of that, and consume that model as part of an AI intelligent system for specific question? It provides specific answers and provides you the right set of information as well, and there is nobody at the back end who's sitting and looking into this. So in a way, it's artificial intelligence is built on top of this, and it is based on conversations. So that is the reason why it's called conversational AI. And this is the conversational AI UI. You can see a couple of questions and answers which is going through, which is not part of any human sitting on the other side and answering. It's basically an AI is who is looking into these questions, right? And to build this, you need two things. One is obviously the knowledge base. That means you need to focus on building question and answer pair, and build a model on top of that and deploy that model. And you need a service which actually consumes this. So it is a bot service. You need a bot service that consumes this as part of an interface, and provide and also connect this to the various channels where you can deploy these model or deploy this kind of conversations into different channels, maybe into your different social media platforms, or different chatting platforms and other things which you use, right? So this is anyways part of the how the language service and Azure Bot Service can be used to build a conversation AI, right? So we are going to see both. We're going to build language service and also Azure Bot Service. You can also do the custom questions, and we will build it with custom. So we will add couple of custom things, and then we will use it. And we will also see how to build a bot service from a framework perspective, from a UI, but you can obviously make it from an SDK and other things as well. So as I told you, you can completely build this with the REST APIs and SDKs, train it and publish, manage everything from a for the knowledge base which you have. You can do that through API and SDKs. But also we have something called as Language Studio. I will show you how to use Language Studio today, and we will see how exactly this gets enabled. So it's basically nothing but you are providing some question and answers in a format, and you're basically teaching or training the system to understand this language. So it's like to understand, like, what is your head office location, what is your head office location, and where is your head office location, is both are same, and you're putting that as part of the alternate phrases, and you're teaching the system, and you're building the model on top of this using these kind of phrases. And once it is built, once it understands couple of things, even if you use something just like head office or location of your head office or something like that, which is not part of this kind of a thing, still it will be able to detect, okay, this is the question and this is what the indent of the person who is asking this question, and then taking that as part of the output, right? So that's how it's done. So basically you have that, you can test the knowledge base, you can you can deploy the knowledge base once it is you are ready to go, and you can deploy it as part of the REST interface. And once you deploy it, we can use the bot service to build that. So I'll not take much time, because you can also use it to connect to multiple channels using the communication medium. So it could be anything from the bot service which you have, so that we will anyway see. And to start with, let's go ahead and create a bot service, right? So similar to the customer support scenario which we have, we'll create a customer support service as well, and we will see how exactly this gets built. And the first thing is to do is to go to your portal and make sure. Let me open this up. Let me copy this, and let me open this up. Okay, so we will go to the portal, and we will see how to get this up and running. So we'll go, and we will type in simple language service. So I've already done that. So you can see language service is here. Create a new language service resource, and you have, there are a couple of things you can do: sentiment analysis, key phrases, and various other things which you can build with this as a default features which are available. And then this is what we are trying to do, right? We are building a bot with this kind of a thing. So we select, so this is what we select, and then we go and continue to create, and then we select the AI series, and we'll go and say okay, we want it in central AI. We'll say kibytes 001. I hope it is available. I'll take this one. This is the pricing, so I've just picked whatever I have, and then I go and get this question. Though, because you're going to upload this questions, so basically I'm creating a storage for that as well, so you can have standard index the storage, because I'm uploading the questions. So I'm going to index as well. So this is the service, and this is more from a legal terms that you can upload, and you're responsible AI. You're making sure you read through all of these documents before you go and deploy the service, and just create, and then you create. That's it. So create, right? So we are creating this service now. Once it is created, mm, we will go and see that it created. We will open the language studio. So what does that mean? So let's go. We did all of these things now. Um, so there is a language studio portal. So we will open that portal and we will see what is in that portal. Just wait until it gets deployed. You can also go and deploy the cognitive services on top of this when you're executing this, but I've just did it with um, uh, with direct language service. That's one of the thing. Let's wait for the studio to come in here. So let us open this language when it shows up the studio, because we just want to make sure we select the studio when it opens. So language.cognitive.azure.com. If you go there, you can see the language studio. So let's wait for it to come. Okay, your deployment is done. So this is the deployment. So when I go into this language studio, it will show me um, what you need to select, right? So Azure directory is here, and then you have a subscription, and this is something which needs to show me, and that is the why I was waiting it to come so that we can see it. Visual Studio, it's not showing yet. Language resource. So we need to wait for it to come. Oh, sorry. Okay, this is default. This is, I have not selected default. Okay, Azure subscription. Why it's not showing? Hmm. Let's go here and go to settings. Go to resources. No subscription selected. Why? Why? Let's sign out and re-sign in and see. There is some issue with the login. It is not showing me the subscription. Hmm. Why? Okay, we can also create new one here. Just to test it out. Azure resource name is 001 US. You can have free, no worries. Done. Okay, let's wait for this to get up and running. I'm not sure why it is not showing. here. Is there all resources? Yes. This will take some time to get created. So hopefully, yeah, okay, this got created from here. Let's get it done. Okay, we have it here. Now what we will do is we will create, so this is like you can create couple of things, right? So couple of, this is what we are doing. We want to create a conversational conversation AI. So that's about question and answering. You can also do conversational language understanding, and you can also connect with apps and other things. It's part of the it's part of the cloud skill challenge. So the learn modules are there for you to do rest of the things as well. I'm just showing you one of the example. So let's go ahead and okay, why is this just throwing up? Cancel, create a new project. Oh, you need to create a search as well. It got created. It's here. Series events 002. Next, review and create. That's fine. Cool. This was, what else we can, what we can do is we also do resources. Now it is showing this. Now we can switch resource. This should work. And then go here. Now we create question and answers. Now I want to do, I want to, it's just basically you're choosing which language you want. So basically, you are just selecting um, custom language. Select the language when I create a project of this resource, or you can do select a project from a data, right? So let us select this one and then go here, project name. We'll give some travel agencies. Source of the language is English. No. Done, create project. So it's very, you know what we did now is you just go and create a language service. It took some time to get this updated onto the studio, and it does require both the search and other things. When we created the language service, it created the both, but it was not updated, so that's the reason why we were not able to connect. Now we are able to connect, and once we are able to connect, we can just go and add the source. So when I say source, we'll just go and add new URL here, and we can give a name. It's basically a, some data. This is the URL where we have the code, which is nothing but a document, and we want to do an auto detect, right? So basically we go and add this. I'll show you the document which we have. So this is the question and answer knowledge base which I talked about. You just need to take this knowledge base and upload this knowledge base and train your system. So I'm taking this knowledge base, and I'm just training my system. So this is the knowledge base. This is the data which I have connected here, and this is a raw data. And once this is done, you have the system ready for you to test it out. So we just need to go to the edit knowledge base, and you can see already the couple of questions which are already part of it. It is already here, and it is what needs to be prompted. Everything is here. We will add a new one. Say, for example, we will say hello, add a new phrase, hi, and both the phrases added. Uh, Prompt back hello from reactor. So, and then we'll keep the editorial, same thing, and submit. So basically, you're adding some kind of question, you're training it, and what needs to be prompted, and it is getting trained in certain questions, and it could pick up after, if you do couple of phrases on the same thing, it gets trained into a specific thing. So then I'm just going to save this change. You need to make sure that it is saved, and then you know uh, we go and test this out. So let's go and test this out. This is the test, and you can see there is a test chat bot kind of a thing which is here, and you can type in hi in this space, you can see. And when I type hi, it replies back saying hello from reactor. And you can basically test different things, how I can cancel my reservation. So it says this is how you can cancel. So this is how you can build a bot. It's very straightforward. You have the bot ready, and this is the training. Basically you're doing the training here. But it's nothing to it's not just about training, right? So it's there is a you also need to deploy this bot, right? So basically we need to go and say, okay, deploy this knowledge base, and click on deploy, and deploy it. So there is, you know it's get the REST API gets enabled, everything is ready now. To create the bot, you need to go and enable, and in the Azure portal you can have to create a Azure bot service. So we'll create the bot in the Azure. So you can see, if I click on that create a bot button, we'll go to Azure and we'll create a new one. Say this is the bot name, this is the central UI, this is the app name, this is okay. We can say create a new plan. um, keys is a true plan, or central AI, whatever it is, and then you select that, and this is simple. So it's all default I've taken, but you can, it's basically you can use it via SDK language, and start creating a bot UI and various other things, and to connect to this bot from your UI and build your own stuff. So to test it out, once it is built, we will see how we can we can use this. Just give a minute for this to get created. So what we did, now um what we did was just to create a bot service, with all the things which is required. And language service, from language service we went ahead and built a bot service using the one of the data set, which is the question and answer kind of a thing. So you need to have this kind of a data set. There's a question, there's an answer. So that's where your knowledge base is. Once you have this knowledge base, you go and build it in, deploy this knowledge base, build on the knowledge base using using the service, the language studio. And once you're done with that, you just go and deploy this. And when you deploy it, you can see how you can test this out. So we can test it in the web chat. Just give it a minute, and we will be able to do this in web chat, right? So we have the resource, we go to the resource, and then we can test it in web chat. So I'm just testing this in web chat. As you know, you can use the SDK in different languages, or you can use the API endpoint to test it. So make sure you so when I say hi, so this is how it should reply back to me, right? So and then when I say I need to cancel my hotel, so it says okay, perfect. So this is how it can, you can cancel your hotel, right? So basically, simple. This is a test, but you can build it via SDK and use this in your SDK and other things. So this is about completing the creating bot and other things, and understanding how to use language service and language studio. As I told you, language studio is this, and it's in preview. So there are a couple of things, and you can basically create various things. When I talked about like conversational language understanding, classifications, and other things which you can do from a indent and entity and other things also you can build with this. It's part of the Azure challenge, Azure skill cloud skill challenge. So you can take a look at the all the learn modules which is part of that and build it. And now we will come back into the speech. So specifically, how do we do various things, right? Speech from a building an app where text to speech to text and text to speech, and that's one part of the discussion. The second part is how do we do the translation, and how do we convert that into different languages, right? So that's something which we will work on now. So to get started with this, we'll try to understand from this module what are possibilities are there in speech service, which is part of the cognitive service, and Azure Cognitive Service, which I meant. So there are a couple of things which you can do. One is speech to text, which is a speech recognition, where you have spoken input, so basically an audio input, and that is converted into a text. And then there is synthesis, where you are basically converting it text from text to speech, which is an audio, from a text to an audio. And then you are doing a translation into multiple languages, and then there is a recognition. So basically you recognize who exactly the speaker is based on my voice, which has been custom. You can build on top of that. And indent recognitions, what is the indent of the specific person's language, what is he trying to indent, and maybe is it angry or is it something else. So basically you need to understand that. You can use the language understanding, so language studio, to build this with the speech, right? So that is something which you can build together. So this module is specifically focused on recognition and synthesis. And we will learn both, and we will see a couple of things, XML markup language and other things, and how do we configure everything. So even before we start with it, so very important, we need to have a cognitive service, and we need to have the keys and endpoint. So we'll go back here and create a cognitive service, um, and then we take this forward. So let us go and create a cognitive service. So you can create it in a separate way, speech here as well, and language service, translator, and different services, which is part of the cognitive service, which we did last week as well. We did create all of these, but most importantly, we will create the multi-purpose one. So this time we are using multi-purpose AI series, Southeast Asia. So let's go and say 3. This is the standard, and all of this I'm taking all default stuff, and then I'm going and just creating this cognitive service. Okay, so let us go and create. While it is getting created, let's understand how to build it. So how to build this specific speech to text, how do we build it, right? So it does two things. One is speech to text API, it just to recognize, and also audio. It up to 60 seconds it can recognize, or else you can do it via batch. Basically you can send the audio in batch, or in a file, as part of the file. You can send it in the batch, or else it's only taking up these short videos up to 60 seconds. So that's something which is part of this API. There is an API for this, and the way it is used, okay, the way it is built is, you have a speech config. So we did create the cognitive service, and when we created this cognitive service, um, so when I go here, there is an endpoint, right? There is a key and endpoint. So you need to take this key and endpoint into this exercise, into the speech configuration. So basically the speech configuration is nothing but an object you create to connect to the speech resource, that is Azure speech resource, using the key and the location which we have. And then there is audio config. So when I meant what I mean by audio config is more of configuring your microphone, or you want to give an input via file. So you either ways you can config microphone or the audio, either through file, or audio is coming either through microphone, right? You're taking both. And then you create basically a speech recognizer object. Then what does speech recognizer object does? It's basically it's a proxy client for the API. It just creates one object, and it has couple of methods on top of that. For this particular example, we are using recognize once async method to recognize only once when we speak. That is the method we are using, but there are a couple of methods. And if you go to the SDK documentation, there are a couple of methods with speech recognizer object. So you can use the recognize once async method, and then there are a couple of objects, which sorry, couple of properties on top of this method. Method gets enabled when you execute it. So there are a couple of like durations, which is specifically for recognized speech. What is the duration? And then properties. Properties also have what is the output and other things. And there's a reason. Reason also talks about whether it was good, no match, cancelled, if cancelled, why cancelled, and all those things. There are a couple of properties gets enabled there. And then the text for which after the conversion, right? So basically you have input is your audio, because this is speech to text. So it has to make sure that it somewhere the text is stored. So all of this is how you build it, and this is how you code as well. So in the code, you're configuring first, and then you're calling recognizer, and then there is properties are set, and through these properties you're making building an output of this. And that's how the code is structured as well. So that's how you build it using the SDK. And we will see that in the example, but I'm just giving you an example there. And from for the text to speech, it is also the same way. You have a speech config and the audio config, the same thing. It's not the the other thing. It's the same. It's just that it has a different object, which is speech synthesizer, which is also calling a different method, which is speech text async. That is one time property, and there are a couple of properties again. Here it stores the audio data, because it's text to speech. In the speech to text, it is more of storing the text data, but here it is storing the audio data. And the properties and the reasons and other things are same, and the why it is failing and other things. If it is pausing, it's great, and what are the information available, it's available there. So all the data is available from a properties perspective, and you're picking up those properties, and then you're just building your code on top of that. And there are different formats, audio formats as well. So you can output this in different audio formats, where you can specify in which format you want. And then there is amazing thing is, we're going to see as well as an example, the voice. You can have different kinds of voice. There are standard voice, and there are built via neural network. They're built via different way, deep learning, deep neural network, and it's built by Microsoft. So you can use them, from a voice perspective, and we can see that as an example. And we will see a couple of specific to India as well, so a couple of voices. So here is the documentation for that. And while building this, I'll show you the documentation, like what are the things, voice and the languages and other things which are available out there. So let us go back and see how to build markup language. So the reason why you have an XML based markup language is to have a more control over the speech to text method, right? And in speech to text async, you can also use this. So this is something you can use, speech synthesis markup language. um, it's basically and it's an XML based, right? It is basically to control emotions of the output. Say for example, we go and say, okay, where is this hotel where you sell donuts, and you want to convert that into local language. But when you ask like you're asking with an excitement of like to have donuts, right? So that's something which you want to you want to convert and ask the other person in his own language in with a form of an emotion as well. You want to add emotions into it. So that is where you can use this XML based syntax and how you can set this up. um, this is great. So this is how you can do it. So it's a simple XML version. We will anyway see one of the things in the example. And let's go into the exercise, right? So basically in exercise, you can see that there is a lab. You can sign in and launch the lab. So you don't have to do anything, any of the setup, nothing. All you need to do is to go and pick up this particular module, which is part of the Cloud Skill Challenge, and then go and sign into the lab, and then just use it. So you're just using this modules. So this is how you can use it. And by the way, I've set it up on my own machine to try all those stuff. So there is a setup guide. If you can see here, you can set it up on your own and also use this instructions for executing it to understand this in much, in much better. So let me go to the lab settings. So the lab setting is very simple for me. I'm using .NET, so all I need is .NET Core SDK. But if you're using Node.js, you need a couple of things. For C++, you need something else. And if that is more of IoT and Python, this is a simple lab uh, environment setup for a couple of modules. So that is why there is a lot of things here. But for me, for this particular module, all I need is .NET Core SDK. So that's what I have. And then let's go into the exercise, right? So basically, let's see how to build this out. So it's very simple. We're going to do speech to text and text to speech, a clock app, just to let us know what is the output of this clock. From a time, it tells me the time, and I ask it what is the time. So that's the clock, right? So all we need is a GitHub repo. So we go and uh, get this GitHub repo on our Visual Studio. Just run git clone from anywhere. That's fine for me. Oh, it's taking some time. Okay. Why just showing me? Oh, again. It's showing me git clone. Okay, we'll do it via URL itself directly. Clone from URL. It's connecting to my desktop. We'll go code and we'll go to demos. Okay, let's go and deploy there. Let's open the cloned one. Yes, I trust the author. So here is the code. Okay, and what we are trying to do now is basically, let me open this up so that I have the exercise opened so that we can see what we are doing. Okay, so we have cloned it. Now what we need to do is, specifically, we need keys. All right, we have this is the one which we are using, speech. So let's go, and you can see here app settings. So this is where your cognitive service, let's have a view in the word wrap and see what is, because we can't see this. Okay, now it's good. Okay, so let's go to my cognitive service and copy this key, come back and make sure key is updated, and you need to give the location where you have created the cognitive service. So let's go ahead and make sure we add in the location. Done. So this is to get started, right? So basically we have the service ready. We have the speech 07. This is where we have done. We go and select the speaking clock folder and we open the terminal. We are here. So all we need to do is edit couple of things. So we need to add code for the namespace. Before we do that, we need to make sure with the SDK is enabled. So we need go ahead and install the .NET add package, Microsoft Cognitive Speech specifically, and we add that package, and that package gets added. Once it's added, we are done. We are ready to go. um, we will go and import a couple of things in the code, which is cognitive speech and audio both. Which this is a, if you remember, we have both, right? So one is to understand text to speech, and then the other one is the audio, right? We are going to use both, so let's do that. And then we are going to add code in you know um, configure speech. So the first part was to configure speech, right? So if you go here and copy the code, console, and we have configure audio as well from a voice perspective. So we have done that. So that's what we are doing. So ultimately what it's doing is taking the keys where we enable the keys in the app settings.json, and then we are again we need to make sure we have a view word wrap, and you can see here you can it just configure speech and everything, and then it takes in some voice. We will try and convert that into different one later. um, then we will run this and see whether we have everything set. It should tell me it is okay to run. Ignore the warnings if you're getting warnings. So basically it is telling me yes, it is ready to run. So you can see that at the bottom. You can see it's ready to use speech. So that's what it is telling me. Okay, cool. Let's, excuse me. So now what we did was we just enabled the configurations. So from a speech and audio and everything, we just enable that. Now what we're doing is we go ahead and create a recognition, speech recognition. How do we do that? We just go and put the code here. It's all, you can see the code has comments, right? So you can just go here and use those comment, and using these. So all which does is basically speak now. So it is taking speech recognition. You're creating the object, and then that's it. Once you create the object, all you have to do is to add. So so basically I'm using the audio, right? I'm going to use the microphone. That is what it means. So if you want to use the separate thing, right? So basically if you want to use the audio files, which is this is the way you can go back, and these are the steps which I'm executing. So it's already here. So if you go back to this, we have imported, we have done this, it's done. So we are adding the recognizers. This is the speech. So if you want to add audio file, these are the steps you need to do. So I'm not using that, so I'm going straight away to the execution. So let's go here and see how we can execute it. So from the code, we need to add process the speech input. So the code is already here, so we are just processing the input. So what it does is, to understanding what it does, so this is the code I have copied there, right? So basically this is nothing but, it creates that, whatever speech recognizer which we created from the object which we created, the method it is calling, the method, the recognizer once async method which we had enabled. So let's see that. So this is this is the method. Okay. And then after that it is basically printing, and then it is also, if there is some issue with the thing, it is also canceling. So all it does is it's printing, it's taking that method, taking that object output property which is text. So if you remember, it had couple of properties, and text is what one of the property, and that is what it is printing. So that's what we are doing here. So I'm going back to the code, and then we have enabled this one. We'll go and save it. All we need to do is try and run it and see what it does. What time is it? So if you see here in the output, so it's basically it's taking this, the audio, the input as an audio. So that's what I'm telling, what time is it, and it is converting that time into, whatever the time it is now, right? So that's the output. So very simple. Let us rerun this and see. Flow from reactor. So it is converting my audio, which is the speech, into a text. So that's what we are seeing now. So what we will do now is, go ahead and convert this into, um, basically, into a audio, right? Whatever the audio is the input, converting into a text, and also it is repeat, giving me output when with the audio, right? So that's what we're going to do. So let us add this specific code in the configure speech. So we will go and configure speech synthesis, so which is very simple. So you just configure speech synthesis. Audio is already configured, so you don't need to configure that. And let me reduce this. So you have, again, here is where your output voices, right? So that's what we will change later. And then we just need an output of this. So we need to capture the object and properties what we want to output. So we are calling these speak text and async method, and then we are taking this code and then executing it, indenting it. Okay. So all we are doing is taking a reason, whether what is the reason, that's what we are doing, and which has all the information. Okay. So let's go and execute this one and see what it does. Right. So let's execute. What time is it?
The time is 17:24.
I'm not sure you're able to hear what's the output. Is there a way you can hear? Rashmita, you're able to hear? Okay, cool. So like, okay, I got a confirmation that we can hear. So let me go back to this. So basically, what I did was, we just created the way we explained it in the flow. Right, we did the configurations, we did call the right set of, we created the objects from the synthesize to speech synthesizer to recognizer, and then we call the methods which are part of those objects, and then we are taking the properties which gets generated from this specific objects when we run, and then we are just outputting it. So as of now, this is how you can use it. So you can use it with different different languages and voice. So if I go back and show you, these are the different languages and different voice you can use. If we have to use it in, say, uh, Hindi, let's say this is Hindi, we will give her voice to it, and we will add her voice here. Okay, I'll save this, and when I save this, basically it's, what time is it?
The time is 17:26.
So now you can see, it's converting it into Hindi, right? So I can, so basically I can use different Indian languages. So just type India in this link. You can see I can, convert it in, in Kannada, Malayalam, there's support for Malayalam, Marathi, Tamil, Telugu. So all I need to do is to copy this and use it in my code, and the output will be in different different language. That's the simplest way you can see, how the synthesis work. We can also build, with the markup language. The simple way to build it with markup language is just copy the output of this in the markup. So let us, instead of this output, right, instead of this specific output, um, we go and put this output here. So what I'm doing now is basically, it's an XML. We can use different voice and other things. If you see, this is an XML part of this synthesize. Hopefully this will run. I'm not indenting it. Let's see how it goes. Does it require anything? Let's run and see. What time is it?
The time is 17:28. Time to end this lab.
No, not bad. So it's basically, it's taking the XML as an input, and you can see here, there are different things which I've added into this. There's response text, and then there is break strength with weak. So basically, have a weak emotion when you say time to end this lab. So this is how you can build with more control over your output by giving some kind of emotions and other things. So you can go through the documentation to understand how exactly all of this can be built. Um, Coming to the next part, let's go and see how you can, we can do, we can, build a traveler's app where we are converting it into different languages and other things, right? So this is part of the translation. So what we're going to learn here is how we can translate something, and obviously this also requires the same APIs, the same SDKs and other things, and we are just using those things, and we're going to do that. And simple, the keys, cognitive service, it's again with location and the key which is there, that is the same thing. And if you have used uh, the older one, Bing speech and other things, so you can migrate to this. um, it is also built on the same example, but here it's, you're also mentioning the target, languages, speech recognition languages, right? You want the target languages, where which target you want to convert the input audio to, right? So there is speech configuration, the way we configured it in the last time. Then there is audio configuration. Then there is speech recognition language. That is what are the things you're going to do, and there is translation. Um, let's go and, you just create the same object. This is a different object, and then it has method, and you're calling that one, and then the similar kind of results are out there. So the development is very simple to use this SDK. Configure stuff, call this particular object with this method. You set up this object and then call this with this method, and then get the, get the details, or get the information through properties, right? So that's what you're doing. So, and then again, there are different ways to do it, event based and manual. So manual is for larger things. This is a single one. If you're doing a single source and single target, that is how you can do. But if you're doing it for multiple, that is where you're going to use manual. So that's the difference between those. And again, for this also, there is you can go to the labs and execute it via labs. But again, there is exercise and other things which you can execute via exercise. So we're going to do it via exercise, the similar exercise which we did now, right? So the same exercise, but it is a little bit of changes. It also requires the lab settings. So the lab environment setup is the same for this as well, so nothing changes. So this is also the same execution we're going to have. And there is a GitHub repo. We already have the GitHub repo. We already have the cognitive services. All we need to do is to get started with adding packages and other things into the code. The code is there in the different folders. So that is the reason why we have to run on the 08, right? So that is what we are going to do. That is the speech translation. And we're going to open this integrated terminal, and we're going to add the cognitive service package like the way we did in previously. And again, in app dot settings, we're going to change this. Where is the key? The key is in my portal. So I go to the portal, and this is the cognitive service key. I'll take the key, and I'll come back here and make those changes to the key. And then I'll go and copy this, make changes here, right? So okay, let me close off this so that we don't. And then I go back to this speech translation code itself, and then we'll make those changes which is required. So we'll import, the if you remember, we had three things: speech, audio, translation. So three configurations which we did. The same thing, three things, it's in the part of the code. And then we will go and create a configuration translator. So we go here and say, okay, we'll go and configuration translator. You want to add languages, target languages, and other things. Let's go and view in Word Wrap. Okay, this is how we can code. So I'm adding a couple of things before we forget indentation. As a developer, you need to make sure you have indentations right. So you always feel indentation is better. Cool. Oh, here. So this is how it recognizes. It recognizes in English, and what you are doing is adding target languages. So there are a couple of languages which we have added. We can add more. Um, Say, for example, how do you add different language? So I'm adding Kannada, which is part of this. How do you add it? You just go here into the language service and search for maybe Kannada, and this is conversion. So let's go and see. Okay, this is, so there are a couple of things here. So you need to make sure you read that. So text languages, what needs to be there, and other things. So you need to provide that. So the text language, I'm making sure it is KN. So what happens is, now the input is English. it gets converted into kn. We can also add different languages, maybe let's see what other language we want to add. Mhm. There are a couple of other languages where we understand. Hindi, it's already there. Okay, let's add Gujarati as well, just for fun sake. We will add. Okay, so this is the added target, and obviously we need to configure speech. So let's go and configure speech. This is for getting the speech config. So speech config is nothing but your configurations to connect to the Azure Cognitive Service. So that's what we are doing, and then we will run this and see whether it is all fine. It is able to connect, and it is all fine. Um, let's see what's the output. Okay, okay, the reason why the output is different is because we have not given the right set of things in the output console. So we can do that by converting this into Gujarati. Did we convert into Gujarati for GU? Okay, let's go and convert target language. We converted this into Gujarati, right? So then what we added? GU, right? So we added GU is equal to Gujarati, HI is equal to Hindi. Then we added KN, which is equal to Kannada, and slash N. That's uh, done. Hopefully, let's see this code whether it works. Okay, cool. So I have Gujarati, I have Hindi, I have Kannada, right? Cool. So I have everything set now. From the configuration perspective, it is set. We need to implement the translation, right? So we need to take this code, which is a different code, which is this code. Let me go here and show you. So this is the thing which we added, and this is the configurations which we did, and we have done with this specifically, and we have to do this. So translate speech, right? So that's what we are doing. So this is very simple, right? The same thing, it is creating that audio, and audio config. You're setting up the audio, and you're calling the recognizer ones, and then you're converting this. So let us go back and add that code in the translate speech, and then we will do synthesize, right? So let's do that way. Open. Execute this code. .NET run. We welcome to reactor. Okay, I made a mistake. So I don't understand Hindi. It's basically outputting Hindi. So let's try again. Welcome to reactor. It's basically telling me something. I don't understand Hindi, so it's basically writing about something reactor home. So so this is a challenge, right? So I don't understand Hindi, it's converting in Hindi. So what I have to do is I have to make sure that we go and create output of this, right? So what it exactly mean, I don't know, so I just want to understand what it is. So let me go here and say, okay, go ahead and convert this into you know specific output from the voice perspective, and you give different voices to it. So we can say, okay, this is we added GU, and then we added KN, and it's okay to have the same one as well. So we just need to save, and yeah, we can say, okay, Kannada, we can say different language. Go here, we'll search for Kannada. We'll put this one so that we can hear in Kannada, right? So we'll add this code. We'll save here. So all I'm doing is making sure which voice I need and other things, and giving the keywords which I'm going to select here, right? So that's what the keywords, right? So let us go and rerun this. Let's try Hindi only. Welcome to Reactor.
रिएक्टर में आपका स्वागत है
So that's what exactly it was printing there. Okay. So if I have to tell this in Kannada, how do I do it? KN, welcome to Reactor.
ರಿಯಾಕ್ಟರ್ಗೆ ಸ್ವಾಗತ.
So this is how in Kannada this is correct. So and even this is also correct, and it is and that's what I understand. So because I'm a Kannadiga, so I can understand this. So this is how you can build a traveler's app, right? So basically you go into different plays and you don't understand the languages and other things, so all you have to tell it in English or the language which you understand. So you can also set that up. So if you see this code, you can set the input language. So I've chosen English, so I can say, okay, input language could be my mother tongue, which is Kannada, and then output language could be Hindi. And I could have a conversation with any person in Gujarat or in Bengal, where we are talking, I'm talking in my language and they are talking in their language, and yet we are able to understand each other and see what information I want as a traveler from a specific perspective. So this is how you can build it. So the app is there, and you can go and try it out and execute it. This is pretty much I had from the demo perspective. So we did see speech, we did see language, how to use the language service, and various things. So you can connect with me here. These are my coordinates, and you can definitely connect, and we can discuss more. But do go to this particular link and take this QR code, and if you have any questions, you just post it in the chat. I can take up I know that I have just taken 15 minutes more, but I can spend 2 minutes on a couple of questions. But all of these learn modules are part of the Azure Happy Hour, the Cloud Skill Challenge. So all you need to do is aka.ms Azure Happy Hour and this QR code, take it up, and you will be able to run all of these examples which I was executing. That's something which is already there. So any questions? Yes, I use MacBook. That's the question. So yes, I do. And this is the link as well. And um, thank you all for joining in, and take that link, take the Cloud Skill Challenge. And thank you all for joining again. And thanks, Rashmita, for hosting me. And we will take a break. I know I've just gone 15 minutes more.